Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Coffee Class with Young Screenwriters. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alexie. This is John.
Hi, I'm John.
And that's Adam.
Hello.
That's Adam.
And today we are breaking down a very classic film, Bicycle Thieves, or The Bicycle Thief, depending on your translation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So today we don't have the tentpole document quite yet, but we're going to upload that in a bit.
Okay.
And yeah, there's no PDF of this script because it is not in English and it's very old. Right. But we can still break down that story anyway, which we will do in a sec. But yeah.
Yeah, and I just have to say, this is my pick. I've been pushing
it. Is it, John?
Yeah,
Is it your
I've
pick?
been pushing it for a while, and then and as you can imagine, I've seen this film a few times.
How many times have you seen it?
I've seen this film 15 times.
Oh, that's good.
Come on.
Yeah.
You're like,
Alexie, it's a great movie.
It's a great movie. And also, but whenever, and this is my point, was whenever I'm preparing to show it for a class, I usually think, oh, I'll just kind of refresh my memory and look at it, parts of it again, and then I watch the whole damn thing. It's like Godfather. Yeah. If you're flipping channels, you see Godfather, you watch the rest of the movie. So it's the same thing. That said, I'm sending out just a very mild or minor apology, given the state of the world and the fact that we're coming into holidays. Was it, an uplifting choice? Maybe not. Maybe not. It's a great film. But again, as I was rewatching it yesterday, I was thinking, also on Thanksgiving, it's like, wow, how'd you spend your Thanksgiving? Well, I watched The Bicycle Thief and, ate my guts out. But, it's kind of what you do. But so.
Let's break it down, John. Break it down.
Should we do it? Okay.
Let's give it a sec. Do we want to, John, do you have an anecdote for us?
Well, as we're speaking of Bicycle Thief, Alexie, I don't know what your story is. You have this way to prompt me. As we're speaking of Bicycle Thief, have I told? I worked for Dino De Laurentiis, and Dino De Laurentiis, as some of you may or may not know, he was a great. He produced, among hundreds of other movies, he produced King Kong, the original. And Dino was a character and a bigger than life personality, a very small, diminutive guy, but he was quite a character. And have I told Dino's story? I
don't think so.
So anyway, so the story is this. So anyway, I get a deal. I went in and I pitched a movie to Dino, and he loved it. And he said, "Yes, John. I can't do Italian accent, but he said, yes, let's do this." And so I wrote the script, and all was well. All was going well. And then I got a call from his assistant, and she said, Dino wants to invite you to his home for his Christmas party. And I'm like, wow, really? I'm going to Dino's and so I said to my wife, we're going to Dino De Laurentiis' home for Christmas party. So we did. And as you can well imagine, his house was up on Mulholland Drive, which is that strip, that road above Los Angeles that kind of runs across the top. And from his backyard, if you could call it that, you could actually see the ocean. I mean, it was just extraordinary. So anyway, I'm there, and this guy comes over and says, "Hi, how are you? Who are you?" And I said, "I'm John Warren." He said, "Oh yeah, you wrote that script. It's really good." And I said, "Yeah." And I could tell this guy had a little bit of an edge to him. So anyway, and he says, "Yeah, I hear it's really good." I said, and he said, Dino can't read English. And I said, I did not know that. And he said, yeah. He said, so your script, and this is the case with all scripts, they're translated into Italian. And then Dino reads the script in Italian. And I'm like, that makes me a little anxious because I'm thinking, who translated it and, whatever. And then the guy says to me, he says, yeah, he says, the story about the screenwriter who came to one of these parties, and Dino was talking to him, and then Dino says, I love your script. It's beautiful. And the guy says, thank you so much. He's magnificent. And he said, and about that point, Dino's dog ran through the living room, and Dino said, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty." Do you get the joke? The translator said, "Here." So I'm sorry, I blew the joke.
You blew the joke.
I blew the joke. Oh my God! And this is storytelling. The translator said, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty." Sorry, there's the joke. So Alexie's not there at all on this one. Is it because I blew the joke?
Oh, I was talking, but I had my mic off. I said, "Oh," and I said, "Ha ha ha."
She said, "Oh." Anyway,
my
sorry.
bad. I turned my
Not
mic
all
off.
anecdotes work, but I thought it was really, and made me terribly anxious. But Dino, I loved working with Dino.
No,
He was old. I'm going to shut up about Dino, but Dino, he had a chef, and so every day at lunchtime, unlike everybody else in LA who like wolfs down a sandwich at their desk, Dino would go home and his chef would prepare lunch, and he would have lunch, a proper lunch with silverware and china and the whole thing, and then he would come back to work for the afternoon and then work late into the early evening or whatever. But he was an old school Italian guy, dressed impeccably, always wore a suit. And speaking of Italian films, he didn't produce this film, but it got me off on a Dino tangent. And now I'll shut up about that. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. And should we go?
Good joke, John. It was great. It was great.
Maybe now Alexie will quit asking me to do anecdotes. We'll see.
So, John, tell us about Bicycle Thieves.
Oh, yeah. Good. Adam's trying to save me, and I appreciate it. Okay, Bicycle Thieves. Here we go. Let me start off by saying again, Bicycle Thief or Thieves, 1948, and Bicycle Thieves is Italian Neo-Realism. What is meant by that? And it's almost in a doc style. The limitations or standards for neo-realism is, for instance, the director wouldn't use a studio or sets. Everything is shot on the streets or in actual apartments or homes. They're trying to keep it as reality based as possible. De Sica, the great filmmaker, De Sica was. This is the way he worked. He embraced this post-war world, this working class life, the poverty of these people, and De Sica wanted to show the world as it was. He didn't want to sugarcoat it. The other one of the precepts of neo-realism is they tend to stay away from real actors. So De Sica cast, mostly he cast real people for this film. Again, shot only on locations, no studios, no sets. One of the wonderful things about the film is there was a young, Bruno, the young boy, played by Enzo, whose last name I can't pronounce, but he was 8 years old, and De Sica saw this kid, saw Bruno. He was with his father, who was selling flowers on the street, and De Sica went over to the father and said, "I'd like to hire your actor to be in my movie." And of course, father said, "Well, he's not an actor." He says, "That's okay. I think he's right." And I think Bruno is brilliant in this film. You can't take your eyes off of him. But De Sica, talk about taking a chance. He cast a non-actor for the second lead in his movie and pulled it off. What else? So that's kind of the. Well, I'm going to get into the story beats now a little bit. Obviously, we meet Antonio Ricci, and we open with we get a sense for the world right away that these men are standing in line trying to get jobs. There's somebody who's passing out jobs, and Antonio gets a job. He gets a job, but it's incumbent on he must have a bike. And we know right here there's a little bit of a red flag. He had a bike or he didn't have a bike, but it's not there anymore. And the man who's passing out jobs says, either you have a bike or you don't. If you don't have a bike, you can't have the job. So he says, I have a bike. He races home. We meet Maria, his wife. Again, the landscape is so barren. Of course, it's black and white. It would have to be black and white. And she says, we're going to make this work. If you have to get your bike back, we'll get your bike back. He's pawned his bike because they need money. So she and I mean, again, the reality of this moment is she strips the sheets off the bed and says, we'll pawn our bed sheets. We'll sleep on the mattresses. That'll give us. So they do that. They go to the pawn shop. They pawn the sheets. Then they take that money and go to the place where he pawned the bike. He gets his bike back. And we're only about 14 minutes in when we get home and we meet Bruno. We meet the wonderful Bruno, the son. There's a baby there. The Bruno and the baby and the wife, all of these things are very necessary in building the pressure around the father, Antonio, and he must get a job. He's got to put food on the table. The film is that basic. The film is so clean. The linear narrative of this is so streamlined and so beautiful. But I'm going to get into that in a minute. Bruno, again, can you imagine this kid? He's never acted before. He for my take on it, Bruno is not only the mentor, but he's also the antagonist. And how is he the mentor? Because he doesn't actually give advice to Antonio. So one of the things I really think it's important to recognize here is that Bruno, although he doesn't give advice, he's ever present. And Antonio must be a better man because his son is always looking at him. So we know with a mentor, you don't want them to give too much advice. You don't want them to be active. And in this instance, the way Desika uses Bruno, he doesn't even have him make suggestions. He's just there. And that keeps Antonio in check all the time. It's a magnificent and subtle use of a mentor. Because he's always there, he's something of a burden. There's a moment when he gets lost, or a couple times when he gets a little bit lost. So he's always there. He's something of a burden. But again, we're still in the early first act. It's the first day of work. Everybody's happy. They're elated. Maria tells Antonio, "You look so handsome." She makes him a sandwich or an omelet and sends Antonio and Bruno off to work together. And it's a beautiful scene because they dress alike. The way they take their lunches is alike. They go off to work together, the big man and the little man. And I just think it's heartbreaking that they are so united. They're so tethered to one another. They go off to work. You would argue that these two, and maybe this is a little extreme, but they're best friends. And the son is always looking up to the father. Antonio drops Bruno off at the gas station where he works, and Antonio goes on to work. And again, we're feeling good. Desika puts a little more light, literally light. It's into the scenes. These scenes. They're riding on the bike. They're moving fast. The wind is blowing. It's beautiful. And then we get to work. Antonio's got a job. Everything's fantastic. And then the beautiful moment, inciting incident, about 19 minutes into the film, the bike is stolen. I mean, that is such a clean narrative. It's 19 minutes. The stakes could not be higher. It's literally a matter of, can you put food on the table for your family, for your wife, your son, and the baby? It's all it's all dependent on the bicycle. And now the bicycle is gone. So the world collapses. The inciting incident, everything goes upside down. This is certainly, unquestionably, the inciting incident. Life will never be the same for Antonio. The bike is stolen, and so we're moving now into the second act. And a lot of friends and enemies. The first thing that he does, which is the rational, logical citizen thing to do, he goes to the police, and the police basically say, "We can't help you. Good luck. Maybe it'll show up, maybe it won't." So, okay, obstacles. And then there's that beautiful moment about 24 minutes in where he goes and picks Bruno up from work, and Bruno says, "Where's the bike?" Bruno understands the weight of this. Where's the bike? Is it broken? And his father says, "Yes, it's broken." He drops Bruno off at home. He loses his mentor for a little bit. He's going to regain him right away. And then we go to I've always thought kind of a bizarre scene, the cabaret rehearsal, whatever that is. And Biacco, I'm mispronouncing that name, but the big heavyset man who's kind of directing that cabaret thing. And Biacco says, not to worry. Now, Antonio goes to him for help, for advice. So this is clearly a mentor-like category. He goes to him, and the mentor says, "You don't need to worry." And then Maria shows up. She's heard about the bike, what's going on, and Biacco says, "You don't have to worry. We can find the bike. It's not a problem. Tomorrow it'll all be fine." So there's a little respite. Okay, maybe things will be better. The next day, Antonio, Bruno, Biacco, they go out looking for the bike, and we move into the second act. And we meet a lot of mainly enemies, mainly obstacles. Is that the bike? We say to the bike seller, "Yeah, no, it's not." They have an argument about that. The guy, he's confrontational. The police come. It's not the bike. Oh my God. And they keep shopping around, and we see the wonderful shots of just the number of bikes, and you realize how impossible this quest is to find a bike in Rome where everybody's riding bikes, and there just seems to be thousands, and he's going to find his one bike. It's just an impossible. It's again the objective, obviously, bicycle is unattainable. How can you find your bike? It's impossible. And Biacco is a false mentor. He says, "Well, we tried, and we couldn't find your bike. Sorry." And that's it. So he didn't. He reneged on his promise that I'll find it and it'll all be fine. He reneged on that and said, "Nope, sorry, I guess we couldn't find it. It's over." About page 43 or so, Antonio sees the beggar selling the bicycle. He runs, tries to catch the bike gets away, and now he must find the beggar man to say, "Who did you sell it to? Where is it? Where did it go?" We chase the beggar for a while, and this is again something I want you to be mindful of. He's still in pursuit of the bike. The beggar is access to, he's a conduit to the bike. So even though he's now chasing the beggar, it's still to get to the bike. The beggar won't give him the information. They go the church scene, the shaving scene, all of that, and the beggar clearly is not going to help. Once again, the beggar is a fantastic enemy, creating obstacles, keeping Antonio from his objective. And for my money, and this is I'm curious to hear what the rest of you think. For my money, about page 54, they're walking. It's we're not going to get the bike. Everything we've tried has failed, and there's just no chance. And that's that horrible moment, just heartbreaking moment. In a fit of frustration, Antonio slaps Bruno across the face. For me, this is the midpoint. It's shocking. It's still every time I see it, it's still shocking that he slaps the boy. And everything has culminated in just taking Antonio to this point where he snaps. And he tries to apologize, and Bruno's not speaking to him. And then finally, he says, "You know what? Let's eat. Let's get something to eat." Now, clearly, this is a rare occasion. And he says, "We're going to go into a restaurant." The restaurant scene, Adam was asking me about this earlier. I love the restaurant. I love everything about the film, but I love the restaurant scene because it's a respite from just what they've been through, and it's right after the midpoint. And Antonio says, let's eat and be happy. So they go in. They're clearly a little bit out of their world. And the point of the wealthy family sitting over across from them, and the little boy about Bruno's age, who's very familiar in this world and well dressed and well kept and well mannered. It's a reflection on what they have and what we don't have, the haves and the have-nots. It reinforces Bruno doesn't quite know how to eat his mozzarella. He pulls at it. It's a beautiful scene, but they're back together, and Antonio has made amends for the horrible thing, having slapped Bruno. And then there's that wonderful scene, or wonderful moment in the scene when Antonio, it floods back in on him, and he says, "If I could get my job, we could live again." The stakes, although his head's not on a chopping block, but the stakes are life and death. They have nothing. And that's when he says to Bruno, after this little reprieve of eating and taking a break from it all, Antonio says, "We must find it." This is great narrative storytelling. We must get back to the fight. So they're back at it. They go to the psychic. The psychic, you know how I'm picky about this kind of thing. The psychic is only played 2 times in the film. Maria, right after they get the bike, Maria says, "Let's go to the psychic." She goes to the psychic and says, "Tell me what's going to happen in my world." Here again, they go to the psychic the second time at Antonio's insistence, and says, "What's our world going to be?" And she says, "I don't know." So for me, anyway, she's either a false mentor or an enemy. She takes their money and she gives them this might be taken a little bit too far, but to me, she's religion. She's saying, "Look, I can make you promises, but really, I'm just taking you." Maybe it's a little harsh, but anyway, she's not valid. There's no validation, but they're hanging on to anything. That's the point. They're a psychic. Yes, we'll go to a psychic. Anybody, just tell us what's going to happen. What are our lives going to be about? They're back on the street, and about page 69, Antonio sees the bike. He gives chase. And at this point, we finally meet with the thief, or at least Antonio thinks it's him. We run through a brothel. We encounter a lot of enemies here as we get into the street, and there's the argument with the neighborhood people who are against Antonio all of the time. And you think about how well Bruno is played here. He's in and out of frame, but he's always looking up at the chaos that is that's just his father's being submerged in. Everybody in this neighborhood, and the mother's yelling at him, and the police say, "No, you don't know what you're talking about." And then the men in suits who represent authority, of course, come up and say, "You should get out of here." So after all that, they all is lost. The bike is gone. They're never going to get it back. And they walk. Well, I'm going to come back to this later because there's a visual I want to talk about. But Antonio and Bruno walk away from this scene having lost. And that's when they're on the street and they get to a corner, and Antonio sees that bike that is unattended. It's leaning against the wall, it's unattended, and he has a moment. And he's approaching his ultimate test. It's brilliant. So what does he do? He takes his mentor. He takes what is metaphorically his conscience. He takes his conscience and he says, get on a bus. He gives Bruno money and says, get on a bus and go home. I'll meet you there. Because I don't want my inner conscience to see what I'm about to do. Scene is beautifully played. We've seen a number of mass transit scenes. We know that they're all jammed, and that if the doors close, you can't get on. And sure enough, Bruno, unbeknownst to Antonio, Bruno doesn't get on the tram. By this time, we follow Antonio. He's gone back to the corner. He looks again at the bike. This is his ultimate test: steal or not to steal. And he steals the bike. He's the anti-hero. He steals the bike. He does not, he behaves incorrectly. And of course, immediately he's caught. He's swarmed by these men. They pull him off the bike. Bruno, because he missed the tram, is there watching the scene unfold, watching his father's fall, literally and figuratively. The bike owner says, I'm not going to press charges. Get out of here. Antonio and Bruno then walk off into the distance. De Sica has a shot that he's playing here. He plays in this last shot. It's a master when the two of them, I left something out. I left the boy on the bridge scene out. But anyway, it's a master shot when the two of them are walking off into the distance. And we've seen this scene throughout the film. There are many, many times when something has happened and the two men, the boy and the man, walk off into the distance, not knowing where they're going, not having a destination, not knowing what the future is. And that's De Sica's theme. That's what he's saying, is that this is post-war Italy. Everything is broken. The world is broken, and we do not know where we're going. We don't know the future. Even the psychic can't tell us the future. De Sica uses this shot beautifully, and he uses it throughout the film. The scene of the two men walking away from camera. They're almost in silhouette, and they're walking away from camera into a future that they don't know. And we know now, because it's existentialism, we know now that they have no control over it. They have no control over their destiny. They're walking towards it, but they don't know what their destiny is. It's not a comedy, but I think it's a brilliant film, and I think De Sica is a brilliant filmmaker. His Italian Neo-Realism, he embraces and captures the world as it is. Not glossed over it. Here's the way the world is, and that's all we have to say. That's what he wanted to say to the audience. That's it. Take it or leave it. I'm showing you. I'm putting a mirror up to the world, and you can see the world. And that's Bicycle Thief.
Great job, John.
Yay!
15 times
Good job.
Enough to finally get the movie, huh?
I finally understand the movie. Yeah.
Took all this time. Man.
Yeah, what a film.
I like
huh?
how bleak
Film.
it is. I like
What?
yeah, I mean the
Adam
whole
likes how bleak.
neo-realism movement. It's really interesting to sort of see this in the historical context of like this movie and what it was about. It was so different from the American films being made, which everything was focused on like a filter of like how we wish things could be, like Hollywood's gloss, Hollywood's like sort of story distortion. This is sort of like showing things as they are, situations as they are, you know.
David David, yes, absolutely. David Zelnick was going to produce the film, and so he and Desika met, and they were talking about it. And Zelnick said, "I'll under one condition." He said, "What's that?" He said, "Cary Grant has to be the star."
Ooh. Oh God.
Ooh.
So I mean, so the Hollywood version is Cary Grant's the star.
That's terrible. Already, it's,
I mean, it's
40% worse.
Huh? What?
Already, it's 40% worse.
Yeah, right. So, and Desika, to his credit, said, "No, no, 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 no."
Well, most of the actors were not actors professionally.
Yeah,
like
right.
All and this was one of the first really. Oh yeah.
Oh wait, I forgot.
And
to
this was
pull
one
up
of the
that.
first
There
really
we are.
popular, Italian films that like didn't use sound stages. It was almost all on location, using real citizens.
It is
really.
all on location. Yeah.
And that child actor, the Bruno, holy shit! Like that might be one of the best.
And by the way, he's not an
performances
actor. Keep in mind.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. He wasn't an actor. Like, that's one of the best performances I've seen from like a child.
You love that kid's face. I love that kid's face.
Oh, little kid.
Yeah, his father was,
his
father was a flower salesman.
I loved the dinner scene.
Do you? Why is that?
Yeah, it's just kind of like this moment of like the kid like realizing for the first time like what his place in society is. Like, see, like it's one of those. He's rubbing elbows with the rich snooty kid, and the kid looks over. Oh, my pizza's bigger than yours, and he looks down at his food like, oh shit, this is where we are in life.
And the other boy knows how to use a fork and knife, and Bruno doesn't really know how to do that.
Sad. Here we have.
Do we have any comments?
Oh yeah, a lot. What is it, John? What do you think his flaw in or need was?
His flaw. Well, Mike. That's a great question. His flaw is not revealed until God, it's so painful to even think about. But his flaw, I think these, I treat this film and these characters like they're real characters. So I'm so empathetic with him. His flaw is not revealed until Act 3, till the ultimate test.
No. And I think you're wrong about that, John. I think you're wrong.
Okay, what do you think his flaw is?
I think his flaw is that he's an honorable man, right? And his inner need is that he's going to. Right, no, but his inner need is that he's going to be somebody who stoops down to thievery to protect his family. Yeah, right. Well, so he's like an anti-hero. So it's like reverse.
Right, he is an honorable man. I don't know if that can be a flaw, but perhaps
but
he doesn't correct it. He succumbs.
He's an anti-hero in that view. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
He's absolutely an anti-hero.
Like having the anti-hero who has like a positive flaw. So over the course of
I'll go along. Yeah, I'll go along with that. But it's that. I mean, by the way, one of the great critical choices in cinema. That moment and that shot of the bike, that master shot of the bike leaning over there, and oh my God, and you're thinking, Antonio, don't, and yet, and when he takes, I'm repeating myself, but when he takes Bruno to the tram, you're like, oh shit, all bets are off. This kid, he's going for it. Mike, I hope that answered.
I think so. Oh, here, a fun fact. Apparently, he's still alive.
He is still alive. That's right. Hey, is that Rabia? Hi, how are you?
Wait, do you know this person?
Yeah.
Well, here, another question. John, I want to know John's opinion on the discussion we're having here. Is it possible that his flaw is that he's a bad father?
I don't think so. I think one of the things, as I said, and I'm curious, please disagree with me if you have a different opinion. But as I said, the beauty of this mentor dynamic is that your son is always standing 2.5 feet away. So when you want to spit on the sidewalk, you think about it. When you want to when you want to steal a bike, your conscience is right there. And it's good to see you. How are you? So I think he's a good father, and as Adam just I think illuminated, he succumbs. And see, Desika puts him in a. This is what I talk about all the time.
Well,
Desika puts him in a situation that's so demanding. The stakes are so high and unrelenting.
Here's a really interesting note that I hadn't considered. Mike says, in the beginning, he's quite lazy. He's just sitting in the dirt when they call him for a job. And walking with his wife takes him a bit until he helps
to carry the bucket. Don't you love that? Hey, Mike, I love that. But yes, you're absolutely right. When he's sitting there in the dirt and the guy has to come over to him, I've always wondered about that shot, because Mike makes a good point too. You guys are good. When his buddy has to come over and says, hey, they're calling your name, you kind of want to go to Antonio, hey, what the hell are you doing over here playing in the dirt? But Adam left. He's unhappy with all of it.
Adam stormed off.
He stormed off. He stormed off. Oh, he can't
mind.
hear us.
He storms back.
We're making fun of you. I said finally you stormed off, but you're back.
Yeah, fuck you, John.
So
I get that a lot.
Yeah, I know.
How many acts would this screenplay fall into? I couldn't detect much of an act 3. I think it was still 3 act.
Yeah, the third act is really, really short. It's about 5
the act 1 break is when he he has to go get the bike back, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Here I can share this. I didn't have it before, but John, as you were talking, I was moving everything over that you sent me, and then also adding my own spin. Here we go. Here's a tentpole document that may or may not be right. This is my take.
Alexie's interpretation.
Okay. Can you make it bigger?
Can I? Let's see.
Well, never mind. No, I can read it.
I can do it. Let's see. Oh, it's too big.
Split the difference. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, that's good. Yep.
So this is my take. Who knows what's right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that in this way, his flaw is that he wants the world to be more realistic. And the reason why I chose that one was just because he keeps going to the cops and keeps trying to get people to help him. And he keeps thinking that this is going to work out for him. And he kind of just needs to accept that it's over and that people suck and that the world sucks. And that's that.
Yeah.
So that's how I broke it down. And then the other thing, John, is that I had a slightly different ultimate test than you. I did it where he goes because my understanding was that he is his flaw is that he keeps trying to trust the world, basically. Mm-hmm. So for me,
he's naive. He's naive, maybe.
That's a better way to say it. Naive. Yeah. And so my understanding was that his ultimate test was when he tried to get the cop to search the thief's house and they found nothing. And then everyone was kind of jeering at him. And it was this defeat where his naivety brought him to his lowest point. And then so in this case, he's not actually he is an anti-hero because it's a positive flaw. But so then when he finally accepts that the world just sucks, he steals the bike. And
he now has to sink to the level of those who will do anything to survive.
Yeah. He's become the monster he was chasing. Yeah. So that is. But by the way, I think it's all valid and good points. I can't say enough about Desika designing that choice. That what you're calling the final fight, which is good. The way that it's just set, it's out there, and your life can change if you steal it.
So actually, I think that John, you might have said that the inciting incident was the bike getting stolen, and I put the inciting incident as the job offer, and then the call to action as the bike. What do you?
Because the job offers it disrupts his normal world of total poverty. It's a chance of hope, right?
So, maybe. What do you think?
Maybe. I mean, for me, the bike being stolen, nothing will ever be the same. He's launched on a journey. We've established, by the way, a beautifully simple objective. Mm-hmm. Get bicycle. I mean, that's just beautiful. It's seemingly so easy, and by the way, completely unattainable. So for me, that was when nothing will ever be the same. Bike's gone. You're now launched.
That makes sense. I'm gonna take down my tentpole document, but I posted my take again though. Just
right. No,
just
it's great.
my
It's great.
take.
It's the way. It's certainly the way, you know, to start looking, analyzing. Yeah.
Here we go. Why does the hero never think of borrowing a bike or money for a bicycle? I think that's the poverty situation, right?
Yeah. I mean,
You have no collateral, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the world that that Desika has established, that there's nobody, no one has anything. So if you have a bike, by God, you're using it to get around, you know.
I told Adam my hot take, which is that the thief was doing a favor for all of Italy because his poster making was fugly. He did so bad at that job. He had no business putting up posters. He literally just like slapped it on the wall and then like did it like a toddler. He was like tearing the poster. I'm like, what
It was
are
his
you
first
doing?
day on the job. It was his first day on the job.
You think that that's how bad you would do the first day that someone told you to glue a poster to a wall? He was literally just like, like he could not.
You know my response to this, Tracy Flick. And Tracy put up a damn good poster.
Yeah, Tracy knows how to put up a poster. This guy, man, that was so bad. I was like, why are you so bad at this job? Just put up a poster.
No sympathy for Antonio.
No. Then he got his bike stolen.
Oh God. Okay.
See? Yeah. This goes back to Mike's point. Like, he's lazy.
Mike, good point. But Mike, great point about I've never. Yes, when he's sitting there and the guy has to come to him and your name's been called. Mike is on to something.
Let's see.
Because I've always wondered why is he, and I do love that when his wife starts down the hill with the two buckets, and it takes him a couple minutes to go. By the way, no, I'm not going to do it because get me in a lot of trouble. If I said something, no, I'm not going to do it.
Don't do it, John.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Here we go. Paul asks, would this film be made today in the same way? Would it be accepted and have wide viewership without changing the resolution with a positive slant?
Oh, great question, Paul. Now, I mean, hypothetically, we can only speculate. Paul, here's the thought. My answer is yes, because given the state of the world, I mean, you've seen the Florida Project, I hope, but given the state of the world, sometimes that's an incubator, you know, for pushing forward different drama, different narrative storylines, different stories that we're telling. You know, Charles Dickens knew what the hell he was talking about, you know. Given the state of our world right now and that we're going through such a difficult, demanding time, the art that will come out of this, I would even say that Parasite is a reaction to a cultural phenomenon. So, and this is a reaction to a cultural phenomenon, post-war trauma. Now, is Disney going to make that film? No, but there are independent filmmakers who say, yes, this story must be told. Also, you know, to be a little pragmatic about it, it's a very inexpensive movie to make, but there are still people out there who are saying, you know, we'll make Tangerine, we'll make the Florida Project, we'll make these films that, and Alexie, God knows, Winter's Bone, that will make these films that you didn't think I was going to get it in there, but I got it in.
Did it?
Yeah, so I would argue yes. But you have to know, you'd have to go to an independent filmmaker, and
I think but just to add up to this point, there are so many films that are great that come out all the time, and especially in the last 20 years even, that like have negative endings that are, you know, characters who don't learn, characters who get worse. You know, not everything has a positive arc. The vast majority of American mainstream films have positive arcs.
And when you go into a studio, you know, and you're pitching or selling a spec script to a studio, one of the big 5 studios, they they've done their marketing and they've said, okay, we need to hit these. We need it to be this kind of film. So they would be reluctant.
I will say that for what it's worth, my very small view into the people I've interacted with in the industry right now, it seems like if we're talking about literally right this moment, you wrote Bicycle Thieves and you're going to go out with Bicycle Thieves, I don't know if the timing is right because everyone's already depressed. So people, I think, right this very moment are looking for something more positive.
We're looking for escapism, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I've seen that, but I don't think that it's necessarily like my dog is kicking a box.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, also if you've got a big filmmaker, if you've got I'm just blanking on his name, but Mank is coming out. Who's it? Fincher. So Fincher said, "I'm going to make Mank. This is a film I want to make. My father was involved with the screenplay." He goes to studio, and the studio goes, they're going to sign off on it. I mean, maybe I'm talking about too much about Hollywood, but that's the way it works. They said it's a Fincher movie. Do we love the material? Does anybody know who Mankiewicz is? No, nobody of your generation. No. There's no market for it now. But they signed off because it's Fincher. Fincher goes in with Bicycle Thief, slam dunk, it's over. He starts shooting tomorrow. I mean, it's done. So, and Baker, what's his name? Baker, he could make this. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, can't shoot it in a pandemic. So there's that. Yeah. But I think that that's all like very specific to right now stuff. And what you're saying, John, is more like just overall like trends. Like, yeah, we could still.
But they are looking for escapism. You're going to see a lot of big. Nothing wrong with them. You're going to see a lot of big escapist comedies and stuff from that.
Yeah, I've talked about this way too much, but I don't think I've said it on Coffee Class. So, I was talking about it the other day in our workshop, Adam, where in history, there's different like trends that relate to what's going on culturally in terms of films and what kind of stories are told. And something that's happened over and over again in history is that story or culture start telling apocalyptic stories or post-apocalyptic stories when they feel like their culture is being threatened. So that was true with I think it was the Mayans or the Aztecs. And it was when people, when they felt like their culture and their way of life was being challenged. And then we saw Hunger Games and all of those many apocalyptic movies happening. And I think it's interesting.
Yeah,
share that fun fact.
Yeah, no, it goes. It's a culture reacting to Hollywood reacting to the culture. Yeah.
So, what would the Academy Award-winning positive American ending of Bicycle Thieves look like?
I think it would have to do with
what would that be?
He would get the government official who didn't want bicycles out in the street. Like everybody would get a bicycle. Government policy, and there would be this huge thing, and then they'd people would lay hands on him, and he'd be the hero because Americans love the triumph of the individual
and the underdog specifically.
And the underdog, but it's always because of the individual. This story is about plucking one person out of the crowd, looking at their tragedy, then putting them back in the crowd. Americans are obsessed with exceptionalism, and they're obsessed with individual triumph rather than community. This film's about communities, and it's about it's not about solutions, and I don't think this movie would be as good if it was about solutions.
And that's why, yes, absolutely. He said again. He said, "This is the way it is, folks." Yeah, the Hollywood version of this is some variation on when the two of them are walking off into the distance that I referred to. I think the Hollywood. You've seen what a tandem bike is.
Oh my God.
So they get a tandem, so they're both on the same bike, and they ride off on a tandem bike, and it's a brand new bike.
That's great.
And and it's like, shit, man. They got two for the price of one, and they're riding off father and son.
And now the little boy, he can do the glue better than the dad, so everything's better. Gosh, he's so bad at that. I'm just saying.
You're driving Adam to drink. Look, he's knocking down a beer because
Oh, this is a coffee. This is coffee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't calling you.
It's like the other day I thought Adam had a Diet Coke, and it was definitely not. It was like iced something.
I have
Bill
like
Gates was
beer
on CNN.
every 2 months. I have the tolerance of like a gnat.
A drunk gnat, apparently.
No.
Bill Gates was on CNN, and he was drinking a Diet Coke. I thought it was so bizarre.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good taste.
And Anderson Cooper even commented on it. Anderson Cooper even said, "Are you drinking a Diet Coke?" And Bill Gates said, "Yeah."
That is an odd choice, though.
So I think that he would know about the aspartame, but whatever.
Yeah.
Not good
Maybe
for you.
he knows something we don't.
Maybe he does. He probably knows a lot. He knows a lot of things
that we
don't
know.
know.
That we don't. Yeah, as it turns out, he kind of knows.
Oh, this is an interesting take from Abdullah. Says the film, if it was the American version, the film wouldn't have ended where it ended. Bruno would try to steal a bike, succeed, bring it to his dad. Emotions. And then what? The dad gives it back because he's like, we can't.
Because he has to show the son that.
But then when they give it back, they like get a car or something.
The son's pure heartedness would have moved the owner of the bike to give them the bike for free.
Oh, that's fine. Not the car, whatever.
We're rewriting Bicycle Thief. The Sika just went like, he's in his grave. He just went like that. He just flipped over.
He just twitched. Yeah.
He just went, oh shit, man. What are they doing?
That's an accomplishment because
why
he's
didn't
cremated.
I think of that? Is what he's saying.
Yeah, he said I should have done that with Cary Grant.
No.
Is that funny?
But then also this. Lots of explosions. Boom.
Lots of explosions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this movie is great. It's here's the thing. We have to acknowledge that it's not like it's a little slower paced than the average modern film. And you have to sort of focus to pay attention to it. If you are in an ideal viewing circumstance, I feel like in a theater, this would be a lot easier to watch. And a lot of films are like rely on stylistic affectations to retain attention. Like Parasite uses music and editing and camera movements to, seduce the audience. And films like this that are like, we're going to present a scene really simply, it's harder.
Yeah.
Alexie didn't like this film.
I just don't. It's not my it's not my thing.
And that's because you hate the Italian people.
Yeah.
The whole entire country. She hates it. For all those Italians, I don't want to start a war here, but all those Italians, she just hates
That's why I moved to New York, really.
Oh, yeah.
Right, to escape the Italians.
Ethnicity.
Where they would least expect it.
Yeah.
Man.
Anyway.
Any good questions? Any comments?
Everyone's just having a conversation over here about,
They've left us behind, right? They don't want to hear from us.
Yeah, can we talk about how the tension is kept up? I found it amazingly intense.
Yeah. Paul, I think, Adam was just making this point that the pace of the film, which is consistent with the film, it shouldn't be race or rush because it's a reality-based world that we're dealing in. But you're never far away from knowing or from being reminded that Antonio, that he must get the bike. Everything is dependent. Everything is dependent on this bike. And he keeps hitting dead end after dead end after dead end. 1948, the fact that the Sika was so sophisticated about structure and story, and created such a clean, linear story. I just think it's beautiful. As I know, I'm repeating myself 100 times now, but I thought the tension was there. Was that Paul? I'm curious to know if he thought. Did you think, Paul? Did you think the tension was? He found it amazingly tense. Yes, it was tense. It's always conflict. You get to a bike, that's not the bike. You get to the old man who sold the bike, he won't help. You can't get it. You cannot get your hands on the bike.
You know what this film reminded me of? 400 Blows.
Oh, God.
Reminded me a lot. Like not so much like in the exact subject matter, but like the presentation. Like actually, you could say I think it's pretty established that Truffaut and those guys were really influenced by the Italians, Neo-Realism. So I feel like that that's a very similar sort of approach to like we're going to capture reality and show it back to you, like as a reflection. It was kind of anti-programming, counter-programming to Hollywood, which is like all about selling fantasy of how Americans wish we were, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, true. Oh, yeah. 400 Blow is a beautiful film.
So this is sort of a follow-up, because Paul was saying, like, can we, like, how is the tension kept up? And then asking, so is keeping up the tension about making sure the stakes stay front and center?
Yeah, Paul, you know, this is with students, I find that this is the and with writers in general, this is the one of the most demanding aspects, is that, I know I've said this, but establish an objective, make sure that we know what it is, and make sure that it is tethered to something of weight. In other words, the stakes.
Mm-hmm.
And the stakes are always front and center, because I think I'm not, this is not hyperbolic. It's all putting food on the table.
Yeah.
I think that's where this guy is.
Can I add to that, John? Like,
Sure.
so often, but let's talk about why this hits harder emotionally than, oh my God, we're all gonna die. Like, technically, there are a lot of films that have like more superficial, or not superficial, more intense like situations. Like, oh my God, the ship's gonna blow up and we're all gonna die in 15 minutes. But it feels very emotionally hollow. The reason why this works, in my opinion, is that we give people a reason to care on an emotional, surprising level. Like, we show his family life, we show his relationship with his son, we show that this guy wants to prove himself as a father to his son, we show that he wants to provide for his family on a really tangible level, we show what, you know, is at stake for him, and then we show what his wife sacrifices to get the bicycle. You know, they sell their sheets. Like, it's really intense. And then the bicycle's stolen. Like, it's so, they build up to it and establish the groundwork, rather than just being like, oh my God, we're all going to die, or, oh, I'm going to be broke or something, like, without establishing it. You know what I mean?
Right. So, Paul, it's so that's exactly, I mean, it's so grounded in reality. And even that shot when they get the sheets and take the sheets, and we're taking the sheets off our bed to pawn them. And there's that wonderful shot, master shot, when the guy climbs the ladder and puts the sheets up there in this mountain of sheets. And we know at that point, they'll never get their sheets back. They're gone forever. So, you know, I say to young writers, students all the time, why does he or she want this thing? Why? And they say, well, yeah, I don't know, kind of, sort of. By the way, wrong answer. But he wants the bike, again, so he can put food on the table for his family. That never wavers from our attention. We always know, I say all the time, be passionate about your objective. This guy's passionate about his objective. He's not, you know, he's not gonna say, you know what, screw the bike. I'm gonna go play soccer. He's going after that bike. He's got to get that bike. He's got to get it now.
Yeah. And the one way that we, or one way in general that we try to help with that in the tent poles, is separating the motivation and the objective, to really make sure that you know why this matters, and you don't end up with an objective that doesn't matter. And then this is also, I think it shows why getting that tangible, specific, clear objective in early is so important, because it gives you something to like hang the tension on. Like, if you don't know what matters, like if you don't know what you need and why it matters, then there's not really much to be tense about, besides like just like the horror tense where you're waiting for a jump scare. Like, you know, it's just another piece of why you need that objective.
Yeah, and I know how. That's why when you see it done, as in this case, and it's something so clean, so simple, bicycle, you know, and you go, oh shit, I can follow that. And
Yeah.
The bike was a perfect symbol for survival. Yeah, absolutely, Spencer. Yeah, absolutely.
And it was, I think it was made, there was this interesting thing too, where it's not like it was like I don't know, like sometimes in movies you're chasing after something that there's only one of, like the Ark of the Covenant or whatever, like there's only one of them. But he's in a world surrounded by bikes and he can't find his. Like, it's I think that there's something cool about that.
And reminding him as those bikes swarm past, it reminds him, I can't get mine. Why cannot get mine? It's unattainable. The bike's a perfect symbol. Yeah.
We have some questions about the church scene. So, John, any reason why in your breakdown you skipped over the lengthy church scene?
He's trying. That's when the beggar. He's trying to get to the beggar. He's chasing the beggar and the baker. And it's if there's a moment, and I'm happy that everybody, other people loved it. To me, it rambles a little bit. He's trying to catch the guy, and the guy won't get caught. And why he did it in a church, because the church is somewhat convoluted in terms of hallways and doors. And where did he go? He went that way. He's trying to catch the beggar, and the beggar can't get caught. So it's a second act obstacle, but it doesn't. By the way, one thing that I did forget that I want to back up on a moment, which is a beautiful moment, which is when they go to the bridge right after I think it's right after the church scene, and a boy has drowned, and Antonio hears this, and I forgot to mention this, and goes running, and we see a boy pulled out of the river, and it's not Bruno, and then he looks up the steps, and there's Bruno sitting up on the steps. Bruno's kind of an antagonist. He's kind of creating obstacles for his father. This adds to this, and this comes right before the slap. It's a great, I lost my son? Oh my God, a boy is drowned, and have I been a bad father?
Mm-hmm.
Are you asking me that question, John?
No.
Because I have no idea.
No, but by the way, you notice I don't ask that question when my daughters are in the room, because there would be like a riot. They go, "Oh God, when do we start?" He was so
A lot of people agree about the church scene.
What?
Yeah.
That it was a lot. Yeah. What on?
Yeah, it rambles a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see. Do we think that the ending was let's see. I'm trying to see. There's a discussion about the if the ending is like truly like depressing and tragic, or if there's like some sort of bittersweet moment in there.
Are you asking me?
You go. Yeah, you go. You got
okay. The ending. The ending is. Excuse me. The ending has to be that ending.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know. It's existential. It's we don't know that it's the unknown. We're walking off. We're right back where we started. Holy shit. We've done this enormous chase to get back to zero. And that's where these people were. That's where this culture was. Desika's saying, this is the fucking world. It's not, we have no control. It's out of our control. And all we can keep doing is walking forward. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, maybe it'll correct itself. Maybe we don't know. That's the beauty of this. You could never tamper with that. I mean, for me anyway, you can't tamper with that, because Desika's saying, this is it.
This is also
post-war.
Desika is on the record about like his philosophy of storytelling, neo-realism. The basic idea is that you don't invent stories and plots. You discover them and you show it, and you don't have any, as a filmmaker making a neo-realistic film, you have no you have a responsibility to not you just show the world as it is,
Show the world,
and not have any moralistic agenda. Like that's the I mean, he does, but like that's the idea of it. So with this film being an example of that movement, it's sort of like they're trying to show real situations that people have without being like, hey, here's the solution, or here's how we can make it better. It's like not an agenda film. It's more of just like this is humanity. This is a situation that is a shared experience.
Yeah, he cannot contrive. Neo-realism, you cannot contrive.
Exactly.
And nothing. Yeah. Now,
and science fiction is all it's all contriving, right?
Yeah, but the fact that he's honed it down to this linear spine is the beauty of his art. But you can't contrive anything. You could never.
Could we also talk about?
Although my tandem bike ending is brilliant, I think everybody will agree.
It's perfect.
I think it's also important to mention that there were 6 screenwriters on this film.
So that's very contrived for a not contrived film.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just think it's interesting. 6 people are credited with the screenplay.
Jeez.
That's interesting.
That's
I didn't
many
know
people.
That.
Yeah.
I wonder how that worked. If it was just like people couldn't get it right, or what?
DeSica's calling all the shots. You can count on that.
Oh, 100%. He's one of them.
He's like, you can, give me the scene, but I'm going to shoot what I'm shooting because I'm making my movie, because he was that kind of filmmaker.
Do you have another question?
We have like a lot of just, chat happening. So kind of trying to sort through.
Do they want us to go away? Maybe.
Yeah, they said John.
John, people are discussing Sachit Ray, the Appu trilogy. And he's a genius. Fantastic filmmaker.
Maybe we should see one of his films.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know what you all are talking about, if I'm being honest.
Sachit Ray's one of those famous Indian filmmakers, 20th century. Really, really, really talented. Influenced Wes Anderson and a lot of modern filmmakers. And really good.
Cool.
Unfortunately, more appreciated outside of his home country at the time than. Although there's a critical reevaluation of his work.
We should look at one of his films at some point. Yeah.
Very depressing, a lot of them. At least the few
I've seen.
Lexi, you'll love it.
Yeah? Be right up my alley?
Yeah.
Oh, the new Winter's Bone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Winter's Bone. What about Summer Bone?
Summer Bone.
It's
Bicycle Bone.
That was a terrible joke. That was a terrible joke.
It's not bad. It's not that bad. No more. So yeah. What are they saying?
Well, there's some discussion about, do we think that there's like basically that Bruno learned from his father?
That's a good question. This we learned from this moment that not to be like him. Rabia, don't you love? I mean, I love the way that Bruno is kind of always in the frame, particularly in those moments of chaos. He's clearly looking, literally looking up to his father, and figuratively as an example. Show me. This is what you do, right? Show me how to behave. That's the breakdown of the film, and that's the breakdown of Antonio's decision. Is that's why it's so, and I know I've said this, but that's why it's so important that he tries to get rid of the kid, and he misses the tram and comes back to see his father behave in this fashion. So
here's
that's a great that's a great, I don't know it's certainly, is he a perfect role model? I would say no.
Here, Federico has a really cool note. Do you think the title of the movie refers to the protagonist and that it's plural, bicycle thieves?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does refer to the protagonist. He is a bicycle thief. And
so sad. I hadn't thought of that.
I love that.
No, I know it's good. I'm just saying.
The thing about DeSica and about a filmmaker like this is he won't back down.
Mm-hmm.
He will not back down, and you got to give him, his props for that, man. He's like, this is the film I'm making. You know, not going to be a lot of laughs, but it's accurate. It's accurate, and I will not, and he won't back down from that.
So here's an interesting note. I've sometimes considered if there's an interpretation where Bruno is the protagonist and his father is the mentor.
Bruno would have to be pursuing the bike.
Yeah, I think that there was too much happening without Bruno, but I mean, there's definitely a version that where this could be the case. Here's an interesting question.
The sequel, Bruno's 20 years later, and Bruno owns a bike shop.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Oh man, here we go. Sandra says, for Bicycle Thieves and Grand Budapest Hotel, it brings a lot to have a young and clueless mentor, but it seems riskier. What would your advice be to make sure that the audience buys into it?
So my advice would be make the relationship real, right? Like in this situation, it's a father and a son, and their relationship is internally consistent with the culture and context of the movie. In Grand Budapest Hotel, it's very clearly like he's the boss. He's literally Zero's boss and mentor in like being a concierge. Like their relationship goes to the filter of like the movie context. So like make it like make sense is my ops. Don't make it arbitrary. Don't just be like, I'm going to have a young mentor. Be like, okay, well, who are they and how do they relate to each other? Like, is he a new employee? Is he his son? And then work from there organically, I guess, like you would any other relationship.
Can you put the question up again? I just want to look at it one more time.
I was covering Adam's face, and we can't have that.
Yeah, we can't have that. Brings a lot of young, clueless mentor. The innocence of the mentor, you know. I'm sorry, you know, but it does reflect on the protagonist's better self. The protagonist is older and therefore perhaps more jaded and less idealistic, and that young mentor brings that back to the protagonist, brings maybe their youth and their optimism and their idealism back to them and reminds them of that. So it's a great play on a mentor, and a mentor. It's changed a lot over it's changed a lot over the years, but because it used to be the old man with a gray beard, and the fact that people have found Pixar was really good about this, finding different ways to use mentors, and it's such a great archetype that it's something, again, for a young screenwriter to know it's something that it's a archetype that can be used, and how to use it, and how to use it in unique ways. It's a lot of consideration should go into that when you're making the choice for your mentor.
Yeah, I think that the main thing to remember with the mentor is that it's not necessarily a person who's like giving wise advice, which sometimes they do fall into that category, but it's not. It's typically Luke, the character.
Trust your feelings.
Yes, not always that. Sometimes, what it is as like what the mechanics of it are, like what it is as a story element is just the character who is helping your protagonist to understand their inner need. And that's really all it is. So that can happen either like in a direct way where they know what they're doing and they're like, I don't know, saying
and also indirectly,
profound things.
The mentor doesn't have to know that they're supplying the inner need. Like it doesn't have to be
right.
So as long as they're like doing that mechanism, then they can be the mentor character regardless of who they are. And it can be, in Up, Ellie's dead and she's the mentor. There's all these different ways to play it where it's just whoever's guiding towards the inner need. Right?
Yeah, and that's a great. I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, that was it.
So, that's such a great point, because that's why we're doing this. This is why we're analyzing story and hopefully becoming more sophisticated about the tools and the way we use the tools. And Ellie is dead and is still the mentor. When they were sitting in a room, whoever came up with that, free lunch for a month. I mean, it's that's a smart and not obvious choice, and yet they knew the purpose of that character and they used it well.
Here's a last question that's for me, so I will pull it up.
Oh, I hope you don't blow it. We'll see. We'll see.
Abdullah says, Alexie, how did you feel about the interpretation of Maria or how other female characters were portrayed in the film?
Oh, God. Here we go.
Hey, I don't do that. I think the whole thing was that this isn't about them. Like, it's just not about Maria or the other
I thought
character.
you were to comment on 2 buckets of water.
Well, yes, he's a monster. But it's just, it's not really about them. And they did give her she took the initiative in the beginning. She's like, screw it. We don't need sheets.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool. But I mean, at the end of the day, she was just she wasn't really like a full on character. Like, she didn't have depth necessarily.
But to speak to that, like, she served her function in the story. She helped the story take off, right?
And you have to have her. You can't see, this is really important, because if you remove her, you've thrown the story out of whack.
Well, but it also makes him.
And Adam's right. She serves a purpose. She does her purpose for story, and we move on.
And then
she adds to the stakes.
Gone.
She adds to the stakes, but it's more.
She does.
Yeah.
But she's not really like a full blown character. She comes in and fills a story purpose, and then that's it for her.
Probably could have been done better.
Yeah, it's not like the most offensive thing I've ever seen. It's not empowering though. It just kind of is what it is. She's just kind of there, and then she's not, and it's just not about her. It was a very male.
They should have had Sophia Loren play her. That would have been good.
There you go. John fixed it. Tandem bike. And that, let's see.
Tandem. That's the plural in Bicycle Thieves. It's a tandem bike. I'm staying with it. I'm going.
Hey, here, John.
Yeah.
If you guys ever hurt each other's feelings with this ribbing, it's hilarious, but I think I would be in tears if I was ever trapped in a room with y'all.
Fortunately, 2 out of the 3 of us do not have feelings.
Yep.
I have a lot of feelings. I have to cry after every conversation.
Adam has feelings for Alexie. He has feelings to make up for the last. I have no. I was in Hollywood too long. I've got scar tissue, but no feelings. Which is, by the way, I recommend it.
There you go. It's great. It's a great way to be. I've never cried in my life.
I hope everybody knows that we're in jest.
That we're friends.
Well, he says it's hilarious.
Yeah, no, he knows that we're friends. I think people.
I would love to, but I would love to bring somebody to tears. I don't know. Is that wrong?
Can I take that? Can I quote you on that? I just take you out of context.
Is that wrong?
Yeah. Well, no.
Didn't one of you ask me? Somebody asked me if I've ever made a student cry. Was that you, Adam?
That was Adam.
You.
Adam said, "So how many students have you made cry, John?" Adam just gets right to the hard question.
I just was curious.
Rabia's here. Rabia, did I ever make anybody cry in class?
In my class,
I never.
Maybe after. Maybe they went away to a quiet corner and cried later, but not in.
Well, a lot of that has to do with I said, why don't you just go away and cry?
That's probably it. That's probably.
So they took the note. They finally took the note.
It's really subtle, but I think you might have found it. Thank you. Oh man. God. Let's see. So we're actually almost at the end. So we get to announce
what's going on.
We are our next coffee class is going to be in December. And so we have some fun stuff coming up in December. And so if you want to make sure that you get the newsletter, there's going to be a Christmas special. So make sure you sign up for coffee class emails in the description, and we will make sure you get the newsletter. But for next week, Adam's pick.
What is the film? Sorry. I
genuinely don't know. It's your pick.
Well, no, what film did I pick? I remember sending you a huge list of films.
Grand Budapest Hotel 2.
Yeah. The sequel.
No, literally.
Whiplash.
We're doing Whiplash. Great.
Yeah.
I love the script. And I love the film. And it's what's really interesting about this film is the mentor is the antagonist as well. And it works. He has the inner need, and he is actively trying to destroy the protagonist's life at the same time. it's really well done.
It's really well done.
I will say it is an intense film. So as intense a film
Do we
as you
need
can
to
imagine.
lighten up? Maybe we should we lighten up? Are we
for the rest of December.
Grand Budapest was pretty light. I mean,
I love that film.
Well, but then John, this is why you and I picked the rest of the films for December, which
What did we pick? What?
So it goes Whiplash, then How to Train Your Dragon, and then we're in the Christmas spirit. So we do Nightmare Before Christmas, and then our Christmas special, Die Hard, with John in a Santa hat.
But I would advise everybody to, if you have the time and are interested, read the screenplay for Whiplash, because it is one of the better. It's one of the best screenplays I've read in the last 10 years. Incredibly well written and well considered, and we've taken apart some scenes from it. But like, if you want to see how a great readable, vivid screenplay read Whiplash. It's a great example.
And if you sign up for those emails, you'll get the script emailed to you. So go ahead
Adam,
and do that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying we're gonna probably send out the script tomorrow, and then it'll also always be in the YouTube description if we have access to it. So sign up for those emails, and we'll send it to you so you can read it if you want. What are you saying,
Adam?
John?
I look forward to asking you about the. Is this a spoiler? I don't think so. The car crash.
Yeah, but I'm going.
We'll talk about that next week.
I've broken down this movie already. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
I've never seen it. I feel
it's like Black Swan, but better.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like I've been told that I would like it because like Winter's Bone, like dark vibes.
And it takes place in Kentucky.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. But I heard they shot it in Berlin.
Also, side note: Queen's Gambit is officially announced as the most successful limited series in Netflix history. 68 million people watched it. 68 million people watched it. That's a lot of people.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I absolutely loved it, but that is extraordinary, and what they did with the chess.
People are buying a lot of chess
piece. I almost said chess piece,
yeah.
But what they did with that dynamic, it's extraordinary.
Alexie said off camera to me that it made chess look cool, and I was like, chess has always been cool.
Yeah, Adam, I'm sorry, it's just not.
By the way, the film that's seeing now is The Great.
Yeah, I just watched it on Hulu. It's the series,
show?
Right?
Yeah, it's really good. That's really good too.
It's very, very good.
And she's great.
But God, you know what that means, Adam? With 68 million people, means that 68 million people now think that's an accurate representation of Kentucky.
You know what? That's probably for Kentucky's benefit.
That's a very good point. This has actually been a marketing strategy brought to you by Kentucky.
Brought to you by Kentucky.
Yeah, I would bet you anything that they did that Netflix tried out some like marketing ramifications of, okay, if we have her accent be authentic, would people hate her more? Because people hate people with Southern accents, or they have a bias. Internationally, they were like, well, we need to make her have a neutral English accent or neutral American accent.
Man.
Sorry, just put it out there.
It's, it happens. That's, the world of production and development.
That's December. We got a lot going on in December.
Man, everyone's trying to say that, oh, here we go. Yeah. Martine's right. Chess is for nerds. Dribbles 3 American footballs simultaneously.
Hey, there are a lot of comments above that say chess is so cool.
Oh, I don't see those. I don't see those comments.
Oh my God.
All right.
Hey, Rabia, is this your first time here? Is it the first time he's been here? Maybe he's gone. He's probably gone.
Was saying. I think he was saying that he was still waiting for you to make him cry earlier. So he was around recently.
I'll get around to it. You worry.
Oh man.
Okay.
I'm excited for Whiplash. It's going to be great.
I am too. I love that film.
It's going to be fun. And then we have a bunch of fun, light films after that. So just one more. One more difficult one.
Whiplash is, yeah.
But
good.
It'll be good though. It'll be fun. I'm excited.
I actually have one quip with Whiplash, and that is, okay. Well, I'm going to save it. You're going to save it? It's a spoiler technically, so I'm going to stop.
Oh man. Tell me later. I'm curious. Tell people in the Discord with a little spoiler tag. You also
I'll tell you guys right after this is off. Yeah.
Oh, did we real quick want to mention writing the feature?
Yeah.
Oh yes, we have spent the whole summer beta testing our screenwriting course, writing the feature, which is everything you need to know in immense detail and depth and information about the screenwriting process and the Hollywood standard for thinking about story and how stories are broken, how people outline stories, and how to write feature-length screenplays. And we have officially finished our beta testing period, and it's ready. We are going to release the course ASAP, and that's fantastic to announce.
Yeah.
And it's big. It's like
It's big. It's like 15 hours of video. Is that right?
Yeah. It's a lot of freaking video.
It's a 10-week course. It's a 10-week course.
10-week course.
Feedback, with Discord community engagement. If you're gonna go, if you really want to learn and take time to like commit yourself to writing a screenplay, this is the course to do it.
Yeah, it's total immersion into screenwriting, the practical aspects of screenwriting, the business of screenwriting. We kind of hit on everything. Writing,
and we also have our still, as always, we have our free course, Writing the Short, which we recommend to people who really want to start small. And we're going to announce and release very soon another free course called Writing the Scene. So we've got a lot of stuff for y'all to take advantage of and have fun with.
I just included the link. Just included a link there. There's no sales page on it right now. It's literally just you to see the curriculum. So it's not prettied up yet, but it's there and ready for you if you want to take a look.
Abdullah just quoted me. And that's a pretty good quote. Don't be a collector, be a writer.
Oh,
wow. I remember saying that. That's pretty good.
You don't remember? Wow. I remember editing you saying
Adam's
that.
being quoted now. Oh God,
this is a big moment. Thank you.
He's gonna be impossible. Alexie, he's gonna be impossible to deal with.
I shouldn't have pulled this on the screen.
Abdullah, you shouldn't have said that.
It gave me so much internal validation.
We're trying to keep the monster down in the box.
You call me the monster. When I'm not around.
Don't open the lid. Oh God, look at it.
Oh man, yeah.
Writing the Short's great. But
I'll pull up a link to that too. Sorry,
and that's free and ready right now. So
yeah, that it is. Let me pull it. Yeah. One second, then we'll be free. We'll be out. But I just want to make sure.
And I can tell you guys what I hated about Whiplash.
So this is the free course with John, where he is just, anybody can take it, going through how to write a short screenplay. And then on Monday, we should have a more advanced free course, Writing the Scene, that we're very excited about.
And it's everything you need to know about the technical aspects of writing screenplays, including formatting, elements of style, how to make screenwriting really vivid and work, and how to actually structure and consider scenes in the context of a story overall. Really, stuff that I actually don't think is that common in screenwriting courses. Everybody focuses on structure because structure is the most important thing. But you need to understand story. But I think it's a great course. We're excited about it.
Before we go, I know Bia was interested in the discourse. Is that because?
Oh yeah. I'll pull up a Discord link. Okay. Yeah, it's basically, in case people don't know, I feel like we're just dumping all of our stuff right now. Yeah,
we're just plugging everything right now.
No, but I mean, I think it's a great community for people who are, writing's a lonely sport, and if there's a community there that.
Yeah. So if anybody hasn't got a chance to check out our Discord, basically, if you have not used Discord before, it's kind of like a casual Slack. To put it, it's just like a little online community where you can hang out, you can share your stuff, you can talk about films or get feedback or just bounce ideas off of people. Yeah. I'm really just filling in time as I find this link right now.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Can you juggle?
You
are juggling, I guess, aren't you?
I can juggle with two balls. I can juggle.
John, someone in the chat just called you out. Did you just say the discourse? You said the discourse.
Did I say this, guys?
I just want to be mean and call you out.
Yeah, that's good. Wait, I'm gonna cry. Oh no!
Oh no!
I don't have feelings.
It passed.
I don't have feelings.
Your tears were shed in 1982 in a green room somewhere.
Discord, like chaos, not discourse, like collaborating, right? See, John was thinking it was nice.
I see the logical leap you make, Discord. No, Discord. Sowing Discord.
Yeah.
Also, you've noticed you say it's always sewing. discord. It's not like it's a farming
very-
metaphor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you, by the way, do you reap discord?
No,
Did you
I guess
sow
not.
it?
You reap
Yeah, I guess.
chaos.
So what
You
you
sow
read?
discord
I'm
to
glad
reap
I
chaos.
got called out. Who called me out? That's so great.
Oh, I will let you know. Martine, I'm sorry. I could have covered
Martine,
for you,
You
but
are
I
now
didn't.
You are now in John's
Great.
black book of enemies.
Yeah,
and he's got
by
a
the way,
thick
look,
book.
look.
Oh,
Yeah. See,
you
a
made
little
him
tear,
cry.
little tear. I don't have. It turns out I don't have tear ducts, so I can't cry. But you know,
We
yeah.
tried. We did our very best.
If I could, I would weep right now. I love that. That's great.
All right, guys,
Yeah,
we're gonna call it a day and see you all next week for
that was fun.
Whiplash.
Good.
I'm sorry for forgetting, Alexie.
I can't believe you. It was your film.
I'm sorry. It was my film. You're right. It's totally my
I'm
fault.
looking forward to it. It's gonna be great.
All right.
right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.